It was colder than it should have been for December. The kind of dry cold that makes everything sound sharper. Gravel under tires, the creak of a porch step. Your own breathing. I stood at my parents' front door, holding a small box wrapped in plain red paper. Nothing dramatic, just a watch for my father. Something practical. He liked things that lasted. I hadn't been officially invited. But I hadn't been uninvited either. That had always been our family's way. Silence as permission, silence as punishment. You were supposed to interpret tone shifts, delayed responses, the way group messages skipped your name. Still. It was Christmas. I rang the bell. Through the frosted glass, I saw movement. A shadow paused. Then the door opened halfway. My father filled the space. He didn't look surprised. He looked prepared. "We don't want to see your face," he said, not loud, not angry. Just firm, like stating a house rule. Behind him, over his shoulder, I saw my brother at the dining table. He leaned back in his chair, watching. And then, that small, unmistakable grin. Not broad, not cartoonish, just satisfied. So this wasn't spontaneous, it was coordinated. For a second, my body reacted before my mind did. That quick internal collapse you get when humiliation hits faster than comprehension. Heat in the chest. Ears ringing slightly. I could have asked why. I could have forced him to say more. Instead, I noticed something oddly calming. I wasn't surprised. This had been building for years. Every promotion I didn't explain gently enough. Every decision I made without seeking family consensus. Every boundary that unsettled the hierarchy they preferred. I had become difficult because I no longer negotiated my life around their comfort. My father waited for a reaction. Anger, tears, a plea. I gave him none. I adjusted my hands and offered a small smile, not warm, not sarcastic. Just composed. "All right," I said. That was it. I turned around. The door closed behind me before I reached the driveway. The sound wasn't loud. But it was final. I sat in my car for a moment, hands on the steering wheel, watching my fog the windshield. My phone buzzed once. A holiday notification from work, then went still again. I drove home without music. There's a particular kind of clarity that comes when something breaks cleanly. No shouting. No dramatic confrontation. Just a line drawn. At my apartment, I placed the wrapped box on the kitchen counter and poured myself a glass of water. I didn't cry. I didn't pace. I turned my phone face down and let the evening pass quietly. I cooked something simple, answered 2 emails. Watched nothing in particular on television. Around 8:30 I flipped my phone over, missed calls. 6, then 12. Then 23, all from Mother. My brother, even my mother, who rarely initiated anything directly. Voicemails stacked up. I didn't open them immediately. I read the text first. "Call me. We need you to answer. This isn't funny. Pick up the phone." I let an hour pass before listening to the first message. My brother's voice came through tight and strained. "Look. We need access to the account. The hospital needs confirmation for Dad's coverage change. They said you're the primary contact on the policy, and the power of attorney paperwork. Just call me back." The next message was from my father. His tone had shifted, irritation edged with something like uncertainty. "You handled the insurance restructuring last year. They won't release the updated documents without your authorization. We need that tonight." I closed my eyes for a moment. Last year, after my father's minor surgery, I had quietly reorganized their insurance, consolidated accounts, and set up medical directives. Because no one else had wanted to deal with it. I'd become the practical backbone of things no one discussed publicly. Reliable, but not welcome. I listened to one more voicemail from my mother. "We didn't realize you had all the documents," she said softly. "Please call." The irony wasn't sharp. It was dull and heavy. They didn't realize. Of course they didn't. They had never asked how FIMS functioned, only assumed someone else would handle it. I waited another 30 minutes before calling back. My brother answered on the first ring. Finally, he exhaled. "What do you need?" I asked evenly. He explained the situation in rushed fragments. A clerical issue. A coverage verification required before midnight to avoid lapse in supplemental benefits. "I can authorize it electronically," I said. "But the hospital will require confirmation from me directly." "I'll call them." There was a pause. Are you coming back? He asked. Another pause. Longer this time. You're really not, he said. I wasn't wanted, I replied, not bitter, just factual. He didn't argue. I made the call to the hospital administrator. Verified identity. Confirmed coverage. Sent the necessary digital signature. The problem was resolved within 15 minutes. Afterward, my father called. His voice was quieter than usual. Thank you, he said. You're welcome. Silence lingered between us. You didn't have to leave, he added, almost defensively. I wasn't asked to stay. Another silence. I thought you'd make a scene. He admitted, I don't do scenes. That part, at least, was true. We ended the call without apology, without resolution. I placed the phone on the table and looked at the wrapped watch still sitting on my counter. I didn't feel triumphant, I felt steady. For years, I had tried to prove I belonged by absorbing tension, smoothing over conflict, making myself smaller in the room so others could stay comfortable. Tonight, I didn't argue my way back inside. I simply left, and when they needed something essential, I responded, not as a daughter seeking approval, but as someone who understood her own value. The phone buzzed again with a final message from my mother. We'll talk soon. Maybe we would. But not because they shut a door, and not because I begged to reopen it.